15th. Oh, sorry, not used to that. Welcome everybody to the Standing Committee of Council for September 15th, 2025, and calling this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Has everybody had a chance to review the agenda? Any additions or deletions? Administration?
No additions or deletions.
Can I get a motion? Mayor Hoover?
I'll move the adoption of the agenda as presented.
All in favor? That's carried unanimously. Treaty 6 land acknowledgement. Town of Blackfalds Council acknowledges we are on Treaty 6 territory. Traditional meeting ground, gathering place, and traveling route for Sioux, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, Dene, Nakota Sioux. We acknowledge all of the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit who have footsteps have marked these lands for centuries. We have a delegation tonight. It's Just Serve Award presentation. Tanya Hartley and Susan Parks. Oh, sorry, Tanya.
Hello, my name is Tanya Handley. Can you hear me okay? And this is Susan Parkins. We are Just Serve specialists for Central Alberta. We're so pleased to be here with you tonight. We want to recognize you for your outstanding commitment to volunteerism. And first, we just wanted to give you a little bit of background information about Just Serve and what it is. Just Serve is a free online platform, both a website and a mobile app that connects volunteers with volunteer opportunities. Organizations share their volunteer needs on Just Serve, and individuals search by city or postal code to see opportunities in their area. All features, including administration features and accounts, are free. In your area, you will see a mix of regional, local, and even virtual volunteer opportunities that can be done from a computer. There we go. Just Serve is operating in 17 countries and is available in 6 languages. It's used by large cities and small municipalities. The Just Serve Advisory Council includes organizations you will recognize for their charitable work. Some that you'll see up there that you may be familiar with are American Red Cross, Rotary International, and the Salvation Army. You'll see that part of this group is the humanitarian division of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the providers of the platform. They provided over $1.3 billion in humanitarian aid worldwide in 2023, organized 6.2 million hours of community volunteer service. The Council's motive in giving Just Serve platform to communities is to build unity through community. This free service does not discriminate based on race, religion, gender, ethnicity, or sexual orientation. Governments across the world are using this tool, and we will share more about that in a moment. We know that the economic value of the skills and time provided by volunteers in Canada is huge. The economic value, often referred to as volunteer dollars, in 2018 was worth approximately $55 billion. Municipalities are recognizing this and making steps to better embrace volunteerism, and Just Serve is supporting these efforts. At the last Federation of Canadian Municipalities conference, we had close to 350 community leaders that expressed a desire to learn more about Just Serve and how you can use it in your community. We consulted with these leaders and their departments to help them to know how Just Serve can support their specific needs. Some cities across North and South America are adopting the completely free Just Serve resource. For example, locally, Spruce Grove formally announced their partnership with Just Serve through this great video. We're going to see if it's going to play. Oh, no. Gotta love the technology. I'm not embedded. Okay. We will move along. So with Spruce Grove, they have formed a formal partnership with Just Serve. They share on their own social media about Just Serve and use Just Serve as their volunteer connection for their community. They set up training sessions for their not-for-profit partners, and they rally them on their website to help them make connections with people in the community. So they've leveraged this free resource to build momentum in their volunteer movement. Another example is Huron Shores in Ontario. They've also shared Just Serve on their website and instantly get access to volunteer opportunities for their citizens. The City of Edmonton posts their volunteer needs to Just Serve to get them in front of more people, and they've shared on their newsletter, shared Just Serve on their newsletter. This is an example. It's a very busy slide. This is just an example of the City of Stony Plain and how they've embedded Just Serve into their volunteer website. It's already well established and up and running, so they just use the Just Serve part to bring more people to the volunteer opportunities they have in their community. This is an example of a challenge for youth. So Just Serve partnered up with Mr. Beast. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Mr. Beast, has hundreds of millions of followers on social media, to engage youth in volunteer challenges. So that was something that was done in 2024. The National Just Serve team identified Blackfalds as qualifying as a Just Serve city or Just Serve town in your case, based on the outstanding commitment you've showed to volunteerism. Your FCSS services in Blackfalds are outstanding in how they share volunteer needs and celebrate volunteers. The team also recognized your volunteer proclamation on your website, recognizing the crucial role of volunteers and demonstrating this key focus in volunteerism in your community. We've already started to work with your FCSS employees to start posting projects. We call them projects. They're needs or events that are happening that require volunteers in the community. So that's already rolling for your FCSS team. We hope as local leaders, you will be able to enjoy having a resource to point to, especially with many not-for-profit and smaller organizations in your community. We had a great visit with many of them at the Community Information Night last week. We've already been contacted by a few that have shared an interest in looking at Just Serve as an opportunity to connect with volunteers in the community. This is one additional service that has been useful in the last couple of years, and that's in disaster relief. The past 2 summers, this has been used in response to wildfires. And when there is a crisis, there's an option on the Just Serve website. You contact us, the specialists, we can set it up. And what that will do is puts a banner across. So if anybody punches in, for example, Blackfalds or in, say, Northern Alberta, wherever the emergency is, that banner will come up and put an instant link to supports for large disaster type events. And also you can link things, when I say you, I mean whoever is the administrator for your municipality can link where people can make donations, where the disaster relief center is, and what they can do as volunteers. So it's just another tool, no charge, that the website offers. When one clicks into, I explained this already, that you can see at a glance a way to help. This is just another example of what that page looks like. Again, this one's a little bit busy. Here's just a couple of examples of volunteers giving service and following these response channels when there is an emergency. So this is just a bit of a bigger view of Just Serve globally. There are several what we call Just Serve Global Award cities. And those are cities who have fully integrated Just Serve into their municipal platforms. So some municipalities that are using this are Houston, Texas, Los Angeles, California, Chandler, Arizona, Franklin, Tennessee, Louisville, Kentucky, and those were all the most recently recognized global Just Serve cities. There's some others in South America as well. So in Canada, we have Spruce Grove, Alberta, and Oshawa that have been recognized as global Just Serve cities. Again, we're honoring you guys tonight as a Just Serve community for the work you've done in volunteerism, and then that global award is one sort of the next step if a municipality should choose to integrate Just Serve into their volunteer offerings in their community. And so just to wrap up, Mr. Mayor, members of council, we from Just Serve would just like to again recognize Blackfalds as a volunteer community and applaud you for your exceptional commitment to volunteerism. The investment you make in fostering volunteerism, and especially by your strong family and community support services team, opens avenues for community members to do good. Municipalities that encourage volunteerism, promote community engagement, build resilience, and extend the reach of city services and improve quality of life, including mental health, which is so important nowadays. So on behalf of the Global Just Serve team, we recognize the town of Blackfalds as a Just Serve town, and we would like to present you with this award today. And if you wouldn't mind if we could just take a quick picture with you, and we'll present it to Mayor Hoover, but it's for the whole council. Thank you. Thank you for your time. All right, you can hold that. I'm just jumping over here.
I'm usually the photographer's telling me where to stand. I'm gonna move it until I'm told. Looks good right there. Yeah. Okay.
See everybody in? Or close enough? Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Very exciting agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
On to regular business now. Request for direction, municipal service level inventory for FCSS.
All right. Thank you, Deputy Mayor and Council. So as you are all well aware, over the last couple of years, the town of Blackfalds has been developing their municipal service level inventory. And we are joined actually online as well with Trina McCarroll from McCarroll Consulting, who put together our municipal service level inventory. So she'll hop in a little bit later here, but the municipal service level inventory helps us understand current service levels across all departments and identify gaps or shortfalls that affect how we serve our residents. And the current version of the MSLI that administration and council reviewed captures the full scope of services provided by the town. And now, as per our long-term goals, we're trying to look in a closer detail at other departments. And our department that we're focusing on right now is the FCSS department. So, as you know, the administration has been working with Trina, and she has put together a report and a summary of input from meeting with town staff, FCSS board members, community organizations, and municipal leaders, which resulted in a comprehensive report. By reviewing each department in depth, we aim to clarify some of the expectations that staff need to perform for their positions and develop a strategic plan to improve service levels across the board. So with that, I'll hand it over to Trina, and she can discuss the report and the summary of input.
Sounds good. Thank you, Rick. Can everyone hear me all right? Okay, perfect. Sounds good. Really delighted to be here with you. Thank you for welcoming me in and for having me provide some support with this FCSS service level review. We, as Rick just explained, that we really, with the service level inventory, we got an initial look at all of the departments across the municipality, and now with service level reviews and service level reports, it's a deep dive into each of the departments, and we started with the FCSS service level review. I'm just going to bring up the report that I submitted into your agenda package. Just to provide an overview of the recommendations. And then I'd love to use most of our time tonight if you have any questions or discussions around some of the criteria and some of the findings that we found throughout the report. So certainly the way that we conducted the service level review, as Rick mentioned, we surveyed the board as well as community partners. We talked to staff and also talked to municipal leadership and really got a good sense of what's going really well in FCSS and where are some of the gaps and some of the challenges. and certainly really highly valued staff and really strong working relationships throughout the community with the community partners through interagency as well as some of the individual relationships. And then you'll see that of course, as you all know, municipal budgets in general, as well as specifically FCSS, operate under significant resource constraints. So they're really stretching the budget dollars and providing a lot of services with the budget allocation that is provided. And so some of the key recommendations that I found during the service level review, certainly reviewing council administration and staff and program expectations, getting stronger alignment there. We really worked a lot on determining the criteria for program delivery and when is it best for which party to deliver the services. So that's what we put into the service level report. We really tried to articulate when is it the best time and place for FCSS to deliver a service versus other nonprofits in the community. Really wanted to work a bit more about clarifying sustainable program delivery with available resourcing, and again, just that aligning expectations. There were some additional findings throughout the review where could increase communication and partnerships with the community organizations. And so there's already been some action taken to help coordinate and increase communication. And then the last one that was very strong theme is if FCSS were able to have some more funding and some more resources allocated, the most pressing need with this most significant additional services being called for is expanding seniors programming. And so those were really the key themes and the key recommendations coming out of the review. And then going over into the service level report that you have in front of you, this is where we take a look at the services that are provided, a description that goes along with them. And then this is where we really talked about the service delivery model for FCSS, and that FCSS, the mandate is so broad for preventative socials programming and social services. So in that way, it can be a little bit fuzzy about what's expected of them, but really using the criteria about when should the town FCSS provide the service and when should other community partners provide the service. So we really tried to articulate that throughout the report. And then at the end, we also tried to articulate some of the differences in apparent gaps or also potential impressions of overlaps or duplicates. We tried to provide some distinguishing features between the service deliveries from various organizations. So that is the bulk of the service level report and the service level review. And I'd love to open it up for questions and further discussions that council may have.
Councillor Swab?
I'm just on page 23 of our agenda under youth programming. You have Boys and Girls Club, Blackfalds Youth Crew, and the library. It's page 3 of your report. And then, okay. So there is also a Youth Unlimited in our community that impacts a lot of our youth as well. I'm just wondering if it could be included. I got some stats from him today to find out, because they are running Tuesdays to Friday programming. They have 40 to 50 students a week in their center, and they do a combination of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, drop-in, and other programming. They also are in the school starting today, the high school, and they have ability to serve over 400 students. So that's in our high school. So I'm just wondering if something like that can be added to this report. I'm not sure if that's able to, but and then I don't know how extensive this report's going to get, but is there like ways to know like what population for a percentage or numbers each group or activity FCSS is doing? Lots of us ask questions like this just so we know where our taxpayers' dollars are going to when we have to do different things in the community, I guess.
Yeah, excellent. Those are really great points. And thanks for pointing out the additional information that we can certainly add to the report to make sure it's more comprehensive. I think that organization must have not responded to our surveys. And so I didn't have the information from them, but we'll make sure to add it in so that it's fully comprehensive.
Well, and I think it's a new person that's been running it for the last 2 or 3 months. So maybe you just had the wrong
Okay.
connections. So,
Okay, excellent.
yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Councillor Appel.
Thank you. Through the chair to either Trina or Rick, whoever can answer this. So my question is about the seniors programming. So where it talks on page 4 about seniors programming and the seniors club. I'm just curious if or what information we have on what if there's other seniors who don't belong to the seniors club that are coming in to access FCSS services, or if we're very focused, because I know we do spend quite a significant amount of time with our seniors club here in Blackfalds. And I'm just curious if we're only hitting those approximately 60 individuals when we're doing this programming, or if we're hitting people outside of that club that may also require our assistance.
I'm happy to answer if I can't see Rick, but I'm happy to take a stab first. So yeah, through to the chair, certainly we got lots of information about serving a broad variety of seniors, not just through the seniors club, and certainly really different needs than the seniors club serves, more on the leisure side and on the recreation side, where a lot of the frontline service delivery is helping a lot with forms and the navigation and the referrals for more complex matters.
Mayor Hoover.
Thanks, Trina. Yeah, I have a few different thoughts here. So my understanding, just looking at this is, I think we've identified this before. This is fairly high level. This is very preliminary. To me, it looks more like just a survey just to gather information, and isn't really forming an action plan or really a formalized public report for consumption. So what would the next step be in this? Is there a need? I think there's obviously a need for just some other agencies that might have been overlooked or didn't respond for us to gather information from that. But beyond touching base with those other agencies, what's the next step with this?
I think the next steps would be for, under some of these key recommendations from the service level review, is I think getting a solid understanding between council and administration on these existing services that are outlined in this part, that are outlined here, and that these are the services and the service descriptions that are currently being provided, and just the common endorsement from council and from administration that this is what you're currently able to provide with the existing level of resourcing. And so I think then the staff can also take some direction in that of this is what's able to be provided with the resources, existing resources. So I think the discussion tonight could provide some of that confirmation, or if you needed another forum with more time, if you needed to discuss it more. But I think that's where it can really get the confirmation from council of confirming these services and their service levels.
Okay, thank you. Subsequent, Mayor?
Yep.
Subsequent. And so one of the things that I'm seeing, and I've not just in the information you've provided, but just in experiencing the role that FCSS has played in the last few years is, even anecdotally, I think it really is facilitating as opposed to delivering. I think it's most effective in facilitating a lot of this is I think as it is pointed out fairly clear in here, there's a lot more resources available in Blackfalds than there was years ago, where we were having to deliver most of these programs. So I really think that to me is the important theme in this, is that we determine what is available in the community? How is it that we can help facilitate those? I know the interagency meetings that
Yeah.
I've taken part in have been, I found really, really effective. They're short meeting. They really are an eye opener in terms of what's available in our region. And that's just one meeting. I think the other one, when we were talking about youth programming, and
Yeah.
it was never a wasted effort. We did Youth Action Coalition, which took a lot of workshopping, never really did come to fruition, but it did identify a lot of interested agencies and resources that could potentially come together. So,
Yeah.
and the difficulty was that we didn't have an organization or the resources in the town to move that forward. But
Mhm.
if that is what we've kind of landed on, that we would best use our resources toward, I mean, I'd just like to know how we move that direction. So that's just my high level thoughts anyways.
Mhm. Mhm.
Councillor Sands.
Thank you. I just have a question. I appreciate the document that's been prepared and understand it really well, laid out really nice. I just have a question of without any more detail with regards to the services and the amount of people that we're helping, those metrics, how are we able to determine that we need more funding in certain areas? That's just my question. I understand that it's calling for it, but I just want to know what are we basing that around?
Mhm.
Thank you.
I think certainly, and Rick probably can attest as well, that there a lot of FCSS is one of the most data heavy municipal departments because of their required reporting to the province. And so we certainly could get you more of the details and more of the numbers and the data behind the number of people that are using each of the services. And in the full municipal service level inventory, we do have all of that listed. And I think that also anecdotally from all of the staff in terms of the number of people that are coming in and requesting services, and the service and the frontline service delivery that's being requested. So I think could definitely get you more of those numbers and more of that data. And then also going back to your worship about the comment about providing mostly facilitating services. I think facilitating services and referrals is definitely a really big component of FCSS. But then there's also the free preventative social support that's often of a sensitive personal nature, and filling out those forms and trying to get them to go to what place they need is certainly a really big component, and that's often of a confidential nature. So that's what I was working to with the FCSS team, as well as trying to determine that criteria for when can they only do something, for when others can do something as well. And I think that would be the follow-up of town council to determine, does this criteria still sit well with you? This is the criteria that the team is currently using. It wasn't documented before. And so this is the team's first attempt at documenting the criteria of when something should come directly from FCSS and when it should be provided from others. And I think then you can also, along with those numbers and the data that you just asked for, see if this criteria still sits well with you, or if you think that there should be some sort of different criteria or maybe different order in terms of how much is provided directly from the town and how much is provided from other community partners.
Councillor Pell.
Thank you. Through the chair, I just had a question regarding the partner organizations survey summary. In question number 5, it talks about gaps in FCSS or potential gaps in FCSS services. And I was curious about the gaps in youth supports, where it's talking about leadership programs, as I believe those were something that the schools already offered, unless we're talking specifically about students that are outside of our public school system, or the public or Catholic school system. but I don't know, again, I don't know who the partner organizations exactly were. So I don't know if the schools were involved and if they are saying that that was a gap of the town or where exactly that was coming from.
That's a good question. I don't think we got any responses to the survey from schools. I'm just going to pull up here the survey responses. The surveys were sent to all of the community partners and everyone on interagency. I'd have to double check if the schools were on that list. We didn't get any responses back from the schools, so that is a good question that we could follow up with. Certainly, the Boys and Girls Club, the Primary Health Care Network, the Food Bank, the library. The Central Alberta Youth Unlimited, that must have been the earlier one that you referenced, that we'll make sure to include we'll make sure to include their information as well. And the library and the Big Sisters and Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Lacombe and District were the responses that we received. We sent it out to lots of community organizations, but those were the responses that we received. And so we can double check and confirm about that and following up with the schools to see if that was any remaining gap.
Okay. No, that's, I appreciate that. Thanks. That helps. Yeah, it helps to know which voices went in to this, and that helps make some of the other questions make a little bit more sense too. So thanks.
Okay.
Mayor Hoover?
Thank you. Just drilling down a little bit in the preventative social role that FCSS plays. And this might be something that none of us can answer right now. But I know that there's changes in FOIP legislation. I wonder how that impacts our ability to deliver some of these services, because where do we draw the line in frontline services where it's kind of getting close to what would be considered a mental health role? I don't even know. I'm not a social worker, but I think even social worker kind of walks that gray line in terms of what we do. So as a municipality, I mean, we already have to adapt to FOIP, and that legislation is changing. How would that, and I think that'll be a factor we'll have to consider when we're deciding how much of these frontline services that we're providing. So I don't know if you have an answer or thoughts on that, but it's a factor.
Trina, I can take this one.
That's really, sounds good.
Yeah. So, obviously we would have to, with the new access to information, follow that. But the preventative, what we're doing in a preventative fashion is people will be coming to our front counter, and we'll probably set them up with a resource or provide them with the resource. It shouldn't really change with the changes to the access to information. Now, things like our community volunteer income tax program, I'm not sure. I'm assuming it would be okay to still run that kind of a program, which help our seniors. But for the most part, we're just connecting them to resources and services. So.
Anybody have any other questions or comments? Trina, I would like to say thank you very much for helping put together this document. It gives us a lot of information. I think there's still, like has been brought up tonight, there's still some information that needs to be placed in this document, just for clear guidance, so that us as council, and because it is public document, the residents can see what sort of their tax dollars are going towards and what services FCSS does offer. I don't know if this is a proper question or not, or if we're able to do it, because in here, like, you list a number of different places that FCSS gets their numbers from and helps out a lot. How about outside groups that they may suggest that are not connected to FCSS? Is that something that we should be having in here as well? Because not all groups come through FCSS. I'm not sure if that's something that we should be looking at or not.
Through to the chair, maybe just expand on that a little bit about outside
Well-
agencies or outside organizations?
Organizations that aren't like directly involved, like Youth Unlimited, because it was brought up tonight as one. But there's
Mhm.
different organizations that, like Blackfalds has a number of different organizations that are there to support, whether it's youth, seniors, sports groups, stuff like that, that are not always related around FCSS.
Mhm. There's such a fine line, certainly between, say, like minor sports and like where it really gets into the recreation side. Is that what you're meaning in terms of supports for across the community?
Well, just like even in volunteerism in regards to, like, I'm trying to think of some of the
You're
other
thinking of like the
clubs.
Optimist Club or Heart of Blackfalds Society, things like that?
Yeah,
Like other community organizations?
that are there as part of volunteerism that could relate back to programs within, that they support different programs that either FCSS or groups outside of FCSS are doing. Because not all groups run through at FCSS, right?
Mhm.
Mayor Hoover?
Like, I think I sort of understand where you're getting at. I think that's part of the questions that we're looking at, and it's worth asking is where's the overlap with these other organizations? What services are they providing that there's sort of a connection to FCSS, but maybe they'd be better suited for that? And
Yeah.
if they can take over that role or take the burden off of FCSS, it would certainly be a benefit of that. And I think that's part of that discussion.
Sorry, I thought I'd just step in and just provide a little bit of context. So when we were looking at, kind of looking at doing our service review for FCSS, we were focusing on a lot of potential organizations where we saw an overlap or where we had heard maybe through council that maybe there was some overlap. So we wanted to be able to give some clarity there. So I think there may have been other organizations. I understand from, if I understand Deputy Mayor Coulter, that you're thinking that maybe we should have had reached out to additional organizations aside from the ones that we did. Is that
Well,
the,
because it was mentioned that there was contact made with a number of organizations, right? Within the municipality, community and stuff like that in getting this data.
right?
But there's also overlapping things that could, I'm trying to think of the right word, sorry, in regards to like supporting.
Okay.
And a lot of FCSS between support, there's a lot of volunteering going on. And it's just sort of my way of looking at it, all community groups should be able to support and help out all. And when you're just targeting certain numbers, because there could be other groups that are doing like senior programming and FCSS doesn't know about these groups.
Okay.
And asking the questions to see if there is other senior groups out there, even if it's a crochet club, right?
Mhm.
They are
Okay.
part of it. They should be included in numbers.
Okay, so getting some additional information from our community groups of what different types of programs they might provide to the various demographics.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay, that's something that we can follow up on, certainly.
Thank you. Councillor Appel.
Thank you. So while more information is never a bad idea, I don't know that there's other groups out there providing preventative services like FCSS does that we haven't already reached out to. So because this is our FCSS department municipal level service inventory, we can't guarantee we're going to receive information from outside groups, right? So other groups that are doing recreation programming or other events are fantastic and we love them in our community. We want more of them, but that's outside the scope of the MSLI for the FCSS group. We can't mandate our staff to work with other groups that may exist that are for recreation and leisure when we're talking about preventative programming. So I just don't know how that fits into this document that we're discussing right now.
I'm just thinking that if there's overlapping happening, should the information not be shared?
Right. Yep. Definitely. Okay.
Councillor Sands.
Thank you. Yeah, I just had just one more comment. I'm in favor of this motion. I would just like to ask, as Trina had said before, that potentially we could look at some of the metrics as well to form kind of a baseline of where this is kind of sitting, so that moving forward, people are going to understand what this was based on, and then they're able to probably, better adjust as time goes on when it comes to budget time and stuff like that. So as much metrics as we could get for it, I think I would appreciate, and I'm sure everyone else would as well. So thank you.
Any other comments? So we do have a recommendation on the. Anybody want to do the recommendation? Councillor Pell.
Are you? Would you like a minute then?
No, yeah, I'm just, no, I'll leave. Go ahead.
All right. I would like to move that Standing Committee of Council recommend that Council receive the FCSS service level report and recommendations and summary of input as information and directs administration to discuss further at budget deliberations.
Any more discussion? I call the question. All in favor? Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thanks, Trina. Thanks, Trina.
Thank you.
So we have requests for direction on housing needs assessment.
Hello, Your Worship and Council. Blackfalds is seeing growth in its 55+ population, increasing the need for affordable and supportive seniors housing. Despite being identified as a priority in multiple town plans, including the 2020 Municipal Sustainability Plan, the 2022 Social Needs Assessment, and the 2024 to 2026 Strategic Plan, progress has been limited. The Government of Alberta requires a housing needs assessment to access funding for seniors housing. Following a meeting with the Lacombe Foundation, the FCSS board passed a motion on June 12, 2025, recommending that administration bring this item forward for consideration. The administrative recommendation is that the Standing Committee of Council refer the housing needs assessment back to administration to bring it forward for consideration during the upcoming budget deliberations. Open for any questions.
CAO Isaac, where's your, there, I didn't even see that.
Before, if council does have any questions, I did just want to add a little bit of context that we did receive some inquiries earlier this year from a resident in through our planning department on what we were doing with seniors housing and whether we had applied for any grants. So at that time, I had reached out to Mayor Hoover due to his relationship with the Lacombe Foundation. And we were able to respond back to this resident that we would need to do a needs assessment, but we had not applied for any funding just because we're not going to get any funding unless we have that needs assessment done. So at that time, it was the start of the year, so we didn't really have within our work plan. So I do just want to make note that that had been brought forward to me and at that time through a resident and through the discussion with Mayor Hoover as well. So don't want to say that it wasn't something that we've never considered, but just was something within our budget at that time. It just wasn't feasible in our work plan. So, but we would certainly be open to this if council is wanting us to look at this in the new year. We would want to do this via consultant, though not in-house, because it's just the capacity in-house. It's a lot of work to try to do housing assessment. It takes up a variety of different departments. So, but I just wanted to add a bit of context to that.
Councillor Appel.
Thank you. Through the chair.
It's Kate.
Oh my God. Okay. Through the chair to FCSS manager. So would the Lacombe Foundation be assisting us with this housing needs assessment at all? Like, have they been assisting the other communities within their? No, not at all. Hey. Kind of what I thought. Thanks.
Councillor Dennis.
Just to expand on what Councillor Appel said, Lacombe Foundation, they didn't even contribute to our 4 units, senior units that are in town here. And we belong to their umbrella. And I have to say that we haven't got anything really to show for it in our town. I think I don't know if we haven't been represented well enough. When you consider our population is 80% of what Lacombe is, I really think that we should be asking them to pay for this housing study. I'm willing to make that motion even. Thank you.
Councillor Swab.
I'm surprised. Back almost 8 years ago when we started discussing seniors housing, that we never did anything to look at our housing needs in Blackfalds. And now, and it sat dormant for what, 6 or 7 years after the discussion. And now it's finally coming to the table. I mean, that's a long time. And seniors have been asking, and their families have been asking for 8 years or longer for their families, for their parents to be able to stay and live in our community. So I definitely support getting this up and running again. And I really hope after we get the needs from this assessment that we have a lot more invested discussion with all the people in our community. That was the biggest open house. And like, I don't even remember how many meetings we had, 4 or 5. Like, there were so many people who attended. And I really think this is what our community has wanted for a long time. So I definitely support this. I hope we do get, like, if we have to put this out for an RFP or whatever, that we do get somebody that's really good at helping us get the right bang for our buck for our seniors.
Councillor Sands.
Thank you. I agree with Councillor Dennis. I'm just curious. I'm in favor of this, of course. We need this housing assessment done yesterday. I'm just curious what the Lacombe Foundation actually does for us. That's a question that I have, and I'm not sure who could answer it. If anybody here could answer that for me, just because we do have funds that we pay, and I'm just wondering what are we getting out of this? Is it worth it? Is what I'm concerned about. And I'd like to know. So that's all. I am in favor of what Councillor Dennis recommended as well. It's just when we look at the grand scheme of things, 4 years ago when I started, this was a thorn in our side as well, and we haven't gotten anywhere. We haven't gotten anywhere, and we have to. You know, I'm getting older too. You know, I'm getting older, and I don't want to have to leave if I don't have to. So.
Quit looking at me all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, if somebody can answer me what we're getting from the Lacombe Foundation that is beneficial in moving us forward, I'd like to hear about that. Thank you.
Mayor Hoover.
Thank you. I can certainly add a lot of context in here. I think just some of it initially will just be clarification. I think it is an understatement to say that seniors affordable housing is complex, and it is not a municipal responsibility. Just let's be clear, this is a provincial responsibility. So the municipalities are not responsible for this, other than the fact that we have to be part of a housing management body, which is the Lacombe Foundation, and it's regional. It's not municipality by municipality. The seniors housing, affordable seniors housing in Blackfalds is not under Lacombe Foundation. It is under Bethany Group. And that is a ministerial order under the seniors housing ministry. So the Lacombe Foundation does not have control over that facility. As unusual as that sounds, it is not something Lacombe Foundation controls. Lacombe Foundation is responsible for the lodges, which there are 2 of them in the region, in Eckville and in Lacombe, and the social housing, affordable housing. So the affordable housing, and so that's not seniors specific, but that falls under that ministerial order. So it's not something that we have a lot of control over, but that is the money and the requisition that the town pays towards the Lacombe Foundation pays for operational costs for seniors housing, for the lodge, and seniors housing is self-sustaining. So that's not money that comes from that. So that's just a little bit of context in terms of that. In terms of this social needs, this housing needs assessment, this is not something that's been in place for a long time. I would say that it's maybe about a year and a half since the provincial government mandated this as part of their decision-making process in terms of allocating funds. So the Blackfalds seniors housing, or 55 plus housing, has been maintained as the second priority for the housing management body. So the top being the lodge, because it's providing significantly more housing for the region, and that's again how the province allows housing to be done for seniors, affordable housing. It's regional as opposed to by municipality, and that was kind of the bigger bang for the buck, and it's one of the oldest facilities in the province. So that was the number 1 priority. Blackfalds facility was number 2. They invested quite a bit of money into the public consultation and the process to try and determine what the needs were for Blackfalds about 6 years ago. Through that, as Councillor Schwab was indicating, through that the open house. And although some people's perspective that there was a lot of interest in it, there was realistically only a couple of people in the community that were prepared to need that earlier than about 10 years away. So based on that data and the proposals that went to the province, it became pretty clear from the province that it would certainly not get funded before the lodges and some other things. It's still a need. We obviously feel it in our community. I feel it. I've been pushing for these things to stay on there. And then the other thing too that it's important for this council to understand is that our representation on that board is one seat on a board of all the communities within Lacombe County. And for us to maintain that, we have 1 vote. So and we've managed through a lot of encouragement and yes, assistance from backing up from this council to make sure that it stays their number 2 priority. So it is something that's still a priority, but it's very unlikely that would ever become a higher priority than, say, the lodge for the region. And what we learned about a year and a half ago from the province was that this is a new thing now. In order for us to even find funding sources for these facilities, we have to do one of these studies. So it is an absolutely necessary next step. And I support it, and it is why I've had the discussions with administration that it needs to be done to support those applications. But I've met with the seniors minister, the assistant deputy minister, many times, and what's painfully obvious is that it would probably be a couple of years before we would even be on the list, let alone top priority in the list. Seniors housing is getting to a crisis point in our province, and they've got this list of super high priority areas, and those are even underfunded, unfortunately. So this is necessary. I absolutely support this next step. I could send the link to everybody. They can have a look at this housing needs assessment process, because it's literally a public document that could be, and it's very detailed and very time consuming, but it's just a supporting document for the next step. So I just wanted to make sure everybody realized that it's not something that we as a municipality didn't look at. Lacombe Foundation was supporting this housing, seniors housing in Blackfalds for several years, and then suddenly the province changed the goalpost for how we get there. So this is almost a new thing for us to have to do to try and chase those funds, which are very hard to find. I think last I heard was there was about $2 billion worth of asks and only about $600 million in the budget for the next 3 years. So it's going to be a difficult thing, but for us to even get on that radar, this would be the next step. And I think so. Absolutely need to do it. I think it would probably be appropriate to talk about in the budget for next year. We're not going to move the needle forward this year. As much as I'd love to see it, as much as I've had those conversations, but I think and I completely understand some of the questions about what does Lacombe Foundation do and what does the Bethany Group do and what does the ministry do. It's taken me years to figure that out, and every time we figure it out, they change the goalposts and how it's done. So I certainly could provide more context to anybody if they want, but it's a huge amount of effort to try and learn about it, let alone navigate how to get through that process. But the more support that our council puts towards doing this housing needs assessment in the next year, I would say, we can start that discussion. But just to make sure everybody's clear, the seniors housing, affordable seniors housing in Blackfalds, we don't even have a seat at that table. That's the minister through Bethany. So the Lacombe Foundation only deals with, in Blackfalds, the affordable housing, so, unfortunately. And there's literally nothing that we can do other than advocate for those changes.
Councillor Dennis?
So Parkview Manor, I believe, is under the Lacombe Foundation.
It's Bethany Group.
Then that must have changed, because it used to be Lacombe Foundation.
About 10 years ago.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Councillor Swab?
Through the chair to Mayor Hoover, I'm just wondering, since you've had all these meetings with the provincial government, was that on behalf of the Lacombe Foundation or on behalf of you being the mayor of the community? Because if you're the mayor of the community, should you not be including your council to be more transparent with us on what's going on?
On behalf of the Lacombe Foundation, which is the representation for, now those reports have come to council, those minutes have come to council. It's again, council has, or our community has one seat on that board. And so I think every year our council has been provided that annual report, that business plan, each time that there's minutes. It's a complex process for sure.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
Councillor Pell?
Thank you. While, as Mayor Hoover said, the town, there's very little that we can do regarding supportive or affordable housing for seniors. One thing that we can do as a town is when we have developers come forward to council that would like to build things like smaller townhouses for the 55 plus demographic, one thing we can do is help the developers and allow that instead of shutting them down like happened last year.
Any other comments? I just want to make a quick comment. This has been a lot of great information here tonight. I know 4 years ago that was my main goal, and I was told that I can't remember what report it was in. Basically, a complex was not something, a supportive complex with assistance in the complex was not something that Blackfalds would be able to get unless we were closer to a hospital or a guaranteed doctor's office open, available 24/7. Seniors housing has been, since I moved to Blackfalds, a big thing, but even just getting housing for 55 plus where they don't need assistance. I love Councillor Appel's idea about, and it was brought up once before in regards to having builders give some kind of housing for that age group. Mayor Hoover?
Yeah, somewhat. And again, I can't emphasize that it is complex. And then the seniors housing ministry in the less than a year has also now taken on the continuing care aspect from Alberta Health Services. So what Alberta Health used to have continuing care, critical care, the hospitals, now seniors housing is taking on continuing care. So they have designated supported living. They've got the supported care for people with dementia units, long-term care. So now it's right around the time that the foundation learned that housing needs assessments were necessary for these funding. Now they took on that portfolio, and now that's that possibility. So there is actually, in my mind, a little bit more opportunity potentially for some place like Blackfalds that I believe were underserved, from healthcare services to senior services. And now that that's under that ministry, if we can show a need for and support the direction for that ministry to build a continuing care facility as well. So that could be some healthcare services that are provided through something like that, because now that's under that portfolio. But it is part of kind of the restructuring that our government has put towards seniors housing and health. In my mind, I think there is an opportunity for Blackfalds. We just need to start with the first step, which, as I've said, this is an important step, this study. I think we need to be realistic that just because we do this doesn't mean that we're going to automatically get to the top of the list. This is just going to be a starting point to say this is what our needs are. But we did go through consultation in our community quite significantly, and it did not show support for a supported facility, as you had mentioned. It was the facility that was looked at was what's called a life lease. So seniors would basically be buying in to a facility, and even with that, there wasn't a lot of interest. So we do need now to rethink our approach when it comes to what we're looking at providing from our community for our community and our seniors. So I think that first step is what is the needs, and I think that's what this survey would come out with. It would be surveying our seniors, look at our age demographics, things like that, and see what the need is first and foremost.
Councillor Sands.
Thank you. Housing in general is just right now is just a real nightmare. And I think I'd like to know, like, what I didn't look in the budget, what we pay the Lacombe Foundation. Does anybody have a roundabout number for that?
About 200 requisition.
Yeah, I would say offhand it would be about 120,000
Thank you.
per year.
Right, that's one. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and I think this is like Mayor Hoover said, this is a government thing, Alberta government thing. But at the same time, what are we getting for this? Is there a value in this? Other than, I mean, I guess there'd be a value in it if we got the Lacombe Foundation to pay for our survey after paying them $120,000 last year. But I mean, what are we supposed to do? Or you know, do the survey and then all of a sudden they're like Mayor Hoover says, they're going to move the goalposts on us again? Like, this has got to stop. I mean, when your quarterback's not throwing the ball, you got to replace him. That's the bottom line, right? And I mean, I think as far as housing in general, we need to look at some land use alterations as well for housing. Not that it has anything to do with this, but I think the municipality really needs to look at some changes. Federally and provincially, things are changing, and the municipality needs to change as well. And so that's my feeling. I am in favor of this so that we can get this pushed forward. So thank you.
Just before I call the question, I agree with, this is something that is needed and needed as soon as possible so we can figure out which way we're going. And thank you for bringing it up along with administration. And if there is any way that we can get Lacombe Foundation paid for it, that would be even better. All right. Mayor Hoover?
Just to clarify on that, the Lacombe Foundation same as schools. It's the same way. If any costs, the Lacombe Foundation is not a for-profit organization. Anything that they fund is requisitioned to the municipality. So it's just to be clear that they don't have like a pool of funds for this. They get the funding from the municipality.
We do have an administration recommendation. Councillor Schwab.
Just before I move the administrative recommendation, I do agree with Councillor Sands as well. But I do think that we can, when we go to Alberta municipalities and FCM, there's chances for us to voice our opinions. And there's also chances to put resolutions in. So we need to figure out what we need to do, or the new council needs to figure out what we need to do so that we're able to get more funds faster in our community, because we still are growing. We almost have the same amount of population as Lacombe, and we're not getting service well for it. But that's something that can change. So that being said, I move that the Standing Committee of Council refer the housing needs assessment back to administration to bring forward for consideration during the upcoming budget deliberations.
Thank you.
Mayor Hoover, you had another comment?
Yes, well, absolutely. I'm in favor of this. I think I just wanted to, emphasize what Councillor Appel brought it up. What it is, what is more, I think, important, or not more important, more, I think, in control of what the municipality attainable, because when we're talking seniors, this is affordable seniors housing. Seniors housing comes in all kinds of forms. And I think as a municipality, making the municipality a friendly environment, having our development standards, having our land use bylaws, and our decisions geared towards making it more attractive to developers for seniors, for developments towards seniors, is going to be probably the biggest bang for our buck. It's so as much as, and I believe that a lot of that could be supported through this process as well. So if we're investing in this housing needs assessment, it'll certainly help us guide that decision. But I think that is also something that's important for us and the future council to know, that we can move the needle on seniors housing through our development standards and advocating for private developments as well, because a lot of seniors housing is private in the province as well.
Councillor Dennis.
There is a lot of seniors that can't afford housing to go and sell their place and go buy a brand new unit. They want something to downsize, like Parkview Manor and different places like that. and those places are subsidized. So it's based on their income. So they might have $1,500 coming in. They might only pay $500 for rent. And you're not ever going to find a brand new housing situation and rent it for $500. I can guarantee you that. And that's where senior housing. We just lost a long-term senior that had her own house in Blackfalds the 15th of last month. She was here since the early 60s. She moved to Red Deer because there's nothing here. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have a recommendation on the table. Is there any other discussion? I call the question. All in favor? It's carried unanimously. Thank you, sorry.
Thanks.
I crossed it out, sorry. Request for direction on access to information bylaw.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and Council. So I'm here to present the Access to Information Bylaw. The Freedom of Information and Privacy Act was officially repealed by the government of Alberta June 11th, 2025. In its place, 2 new pieces of legislation have been proclaimed. The Access to Information Act and the Protection of Privacy Act are now the governing legislations in terms of access and privacy. The intent of this bylaw is to reaffirm the CAO as the head of the public body under the new acts, to mandate the delegation of responsibility through an admin policy, and to guide and allow the collection of fees in relation to services provided. In accordance to Section 98(8) of the Access to Information Act, the town must enact a bylaw which designates a person or group of persons as the head of the public body for the purpose of the Act. Furthermore, Section 87 provides the formal delegation of duties and responsibilities under the Act. Section 96, the town is authorised to collect fees for services provided for the Access to Information Act Regulation AR 133/2025. This will repeal and replace Bylaw 1295.24 and will ensure the town remains compliant while meeting the requirements of the new legislation. So the admin recommendation here tonight is that Standing Committee of Council recommend to Council that the Access to Information Bylaw be brought forward to a future Council meeting for consideration. And with that, I'll have any questions.
Not seeing any questions. We have an administration recommendation? Councillor Sands.
Thank you. I'll move that the Standing Committee of Council recommend to Council that the Records and Information Management Bylaw be brought forward to a future Council meeting for consideration.
All in favor?
Oh, sorry. I think he read the next.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, one back.
you-
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. I'll move that the Standing Committee of Council.
Excuse me, Councillor Sands.
Yeah.
Can I have you hit your mic again, please? Thank you.
I'll move that the Standing Committee of Council recommend to Council that the Access to Information Bylaw be brought forward to a future Council meeting for consideration.
All in favor? It's carried unanimously. Request for direction on records and information management bylaw.
Okay, similar to the last bylaw, this is more administrative in nature. So the intent of this bylaw is to update the obsolete legislation citations and reaffirming the CAO's authority and obligation for records and information management, as well as to mandate delegation of the program responsibilities through an admin policy. Section 208 of the MGA stipulates the CAO must ensure that all bylaws, minutes, and council meetings and other records and documents of the municipality are kept safe. Section 209 of the MGA also authorizes the CAO to delegate their powers, duties, and functions under the Act or under any other enactment or bylaw to a designated officer or an employee of the municipality. Once again, this will repeal the bylaw 1296.24 while maintaining the CAO's discretion in the delegation of program-related duties while ensuring the town remains compliant under the requirements of the new legislation. So the administration recommendation is that the Standing Committee of Council recommend to Council that the Records and Information Management Bylaw be brought forward to a future Council meeting for consideration.
Any questions, comments? Mayor Hoover?
No questions, but I'm prepared to make the motion.
Okay,
I'll make the motion that Standing Committee of Council recommend to Council that the Records and Information Management Bylaw be brought forward to a future Council meeting for consideration.
call a question. All in favor? It's carried unanimously. And we have request for direction on financial reserve policy.
Excellent, thank you. So before you do have a new financial reserves policy. The town of Blackfalds recognises the importance of establishing and maintaining financial reserves to ensure long-term fiscal sustainability, operational stability, as well as the ability to respond to unforeseen events. Financial reserve policy outlines some frameworks for creating, managing, and utilising reserve funds in alignment with the municipal priorities and legislative requirements. The policy categorises reserves into several types, including stabilisation, contingency, infrastructure life cycle management and replacement, specific purpose, developer levy, and restricted reserves. Each reserve is defined by its purpose, funding source, usage, and optimal balance, ensuring transparency and accountability in financial planning. Key benefits of maintaining a robust reserve include financial stability and flexibility, funding of future capital projects and strategic initiatives, mitigation of economic downturns and unexpected events, continuing of essential services, and management of revenue and expenditure fluctuations. As part of the policy framework, administration recommends consolidating several existing reserves into a more manageable number. Many of the current reserves lack a clearly defined purpose or strategic direction. Appendix A outlines the proposed changes, including current reserve names, their respective balances, and the suggested consolidated reserve categories. This consolidation aims at enhancing clarity, improving financial oversight, and aligning the reserve management with long-term planning objectives. The recommendation tonight is that Standing Committee of Council recommend to Council that administration bring forward the financial reserve policy to a future regular council meeting for consideration. And with that, I'll open up for any questions.
Councillor Powell.
Okay, thank you. Through the chair to Director DeBresser. So just looking at the Schedule A reserves that has all the list of them. So we do have about half, I don't know the exact numbers, half of the reserves that are not currently bearing interest. Is there a reason for this? Is it because those reserves specifically need to be more liquid, or?
Yeah, so the way we look at allocating interest is definitely on our water utilities, the self-funded utilities. So all the interest payments go into operation. So we want to kind of allocate some money back to those where the interest is generated. So if the balances are so low that it doesn't make sense to allocate $2 or $3 here and there, it doesn't. The major ones that are legislative is more of our grants. Our grants that the province gives us, we'll get them earlier in the year, depending on grant reporting. We do have to allocate interest back to there as well. So the ongoing ones, it's really, I would say the purpose of allocating interest is really to restrict it. So you got your interest coming through operations over here. This policy, where we see fit to allocate interest, is just really restricting that money. So did that?
Sorry, not the ones that are allocated, the ones that are bearing, the ones that are collecting interest.
Sorry,
Not that we're allocating that interest to.
Okay, so an example there is the municipal land reserve.
Okay.
So that's a restricted reserve based on the MGA. So that's land that will either take cash in lieu and we'll put it into a balance. that one is legislated that we allocate interest to it. So that's one example. Like I mentioned, the utilities, the offsite levies reserve, that interest payment can go either way. So if we front-ended development like lift stations and water reserves and whatnot, and we've taken offsite levies, we can actually charge interest as well as allocate interest back out to the positive balances, if that makes sense.
Okay, so then our general operating reserve.
Yep.
Just the way at the at the bottom of the column it says interest bearing, no, that means we're not allocating interest money into that reserve, or that means that pool of money is not generating interest.
No, so we're not going to allocate interest into there.
Oh, okay.
So technically, when we do our surplus kind of memo,
Mhm.
the interest that we've earned is in that memo as well. So
Okay.
we're really taking it, like I said, from here and restricting it over here based on,
Gotcha. Okay, and I think so. Then my apologies, because I think that was just my misunderstanding of whether or not that money was bearing in like.
Okay,
creating
everything bears interest in the
Yeah.
reserve. Whether we allocate some of that interest back to the reserve based on balances that's probably the question that you're asking.
Perfect. Then
And in this case, no, for the general operating.
okay, that does
Yeah.
make sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councillor Sands?
Thank you. Yeah, I actually was looking for that information as well. And when we do get our surpluses, our annual surpluses, where were we putting them in general operating, or we were putting them back into capital?
Yeah. So
Capital.
if this does go through, we'll definitely bring our surplus next year based on our interest returns and whatnot. So we'll give you a report saying, have we met the optimal balances of our reserves? If we have, we may recommend that, hey, let's put it into general capital. Or if our general operating is 6% of our municipal revenue and we've met that target, and that's a nice safety net for us, we will kind of give you recommendations on putting it into general capital. If we haven't met that target, we'll probably say, hey, these are the targets in our reserve policy that we'd like to meet. So our surplus can go into to meet those targets.
All right.
But once again, that will be all laid out into that report there.
Right. Okay. No, that's great.
But once again, it's a council's decision. Where we put that money. If there was a capital project coming up that we were borrowing for, or you wanted to put it away in another fund, it definitely it's our recommendation to you, but it's council's privy to allocate that money.
Yeah, or if our operating budget is too much and we want to cut back on our taxes, can we use money for that?
Technically, yes.
Yeah.
However,
Is that hard?
I always say I stress caution. If you're pulling from a reserve, the reserve can get depleted. And then what do we do? Where you brought on not one-time spending, and that's the real crux of having an operating reserve is those one-time funding, like a study or a master plan. When it's a one-time expense over the 3 years in the operating budget, we're going to be pulling from that operating reserve, so it doesn't fluctuate your taxes. So technically, you can pull from a reserve to fund taxes, but it's playing a game that you may have to put that money back down at a later date.
Right, because I know when we've done the budget before and we're looking for our optimal number.
Yep.
We do have a value based on a percentage that we could, drop or raise taxes to bring us to an optimal number. So that's what I'm curious about, is if we can utilize that as well, if need be.
For sure.
I mean, I know you guys do your best to find all the efficiencies, and that's what we always want.
For sure. So, just to expand there. So if our general operating reserve has a balance of 6% of what we bring in, anything over that 6%, you could offset taxes for the following year.
Mm-hmm.
But if we delve under there, we're going to be putting surplus back in there. And
yes.
So it is, definitely the notion of have we overtaxed to get a surplus? That's the question I think you may be asking. And I would say no. Our interest reserve, our investments are doing very well, and that's the main, I would say, driver of a surplus. So if you think about 2020, when the interest rates really dropped and whatnot, we're struggling to get the interest that we budgeted for. So good times at the moment to have a nice surplus, but I do I do, probably
Right.
proceed with caution.
Yeah, and I think I asked that because, I know our investments are good, and I know residents are not at
For sure.
times, and so that's why I ask and to look at that. So potentially the new council, if need be, they have an option
Yeah.
if they absolutely need it and want to go that route.
For sure.
So yeah, thank you.
No trouble.
Not seeing any other questions. We have a recommendation on the table. Councillor Swab.
I'll move that the Standing Committee of Council recommend to Council that administration bring forward the financial reserves policy to a future regular council meeting for consideration.
And I'll call the question. All in favor? Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you.
Oh, that was carried unanimously. We have no confidential information or items, and so I am going to call council to adjournment at 8:26.